This story happened yesterday. This was a 3,000 plus employee company, and the CIO, he's great. We met at Starbucks, and I hadn't seen him in maybe 6 months since he's come to the last innovation lunch. I think it was about that much time. But he had a new CEO came in, ex-military, ex-army, ex-general, but literally he was a general on the 30th of the month, came in on the 1st of the month and started the job. So like there's no gap between military and civilian life. And this guy came in, and he's running the program like a general would. And he's created a hostile work environment. He's directly told all the direct reports that they all will feel uncomfortable in his presence, and that he's publicly called out the CIO in front of his direct reports. So he's doing everything, and not only that, he's asked for one major complex system to be rolled out not in 6 months, which would be sort of the traditional style of rolling this complete massive migration. He asked for it to be done in like 2 months. And so he has just zero patience. And the CIO, as I met with him, he had completely slipped into defense mode. Mentally, everything about him. So he's afraid, in defense, my boss is wrong, I'm right, I have to escape to find a new job. I put my resume on the street. And so what I told him is that I don't advocate he stay where he doesn't want to be. But I said, listen, you're a 3,000 person company. I said, you have it perfect. I said, you're having trouble dealing with a strong leader. I said, this is actually your best teacher right now. I said, you don't need a snowflake leader, kumbaya. I said, you need to learn from extremes. And this is an extreme example of an extreme leader that you can learn from, not because you have to change how you are with your reports, but your reports need to know that you're not a snowflake, so that you can take the heat from him, and maybe you do need to change. I said, what if that guy, the CEO, wants something so badly, and you actually did it in half the time that he wanted? And he actually did part of that. Like, he wanted this system rolled out in like 20% of the time. He actually rolled it out, the system, so that the CEO got what he wanted for him, but the rest of the organization was still on the old system. But he actually, that's kind of what you got to do. You got to give the guy what he wants. But it was impossible for him to roll the whole thing out. But the military is regimented. He's used to a dependability, a regularity. I said, what if you actually, instead of talking to him like the old kind of snowflake style CIO, you just said, listen, here's my Delta Force, here's my grunts, here's where my medics are, here's my communications, here's my, and you start communicating to him not based on tech, because he doesn't understand the tech. He doesn't understand what he's asking for. So do it as a military framework and say, listen, I can't do this project unless I hire more Delta Force. And I need some Green Berets here, and the Green Berets are different than the Delta. And he'll start to understand that and start communicating to him the way he wants to be communicated with. And maybe so another thing too is that he's out looking for a job. I said, what's the likelihood they're going to ask you what kind of a CIO you are? So would you rather communicate with them and say, I was under such intense pressure, and I was under such a hostile work environment, but I still got it done? And that it's going to completely separate that person from the market, and from the market. So I said, even the worst thing that happens, and I said, go cover your butt from an HR point of view. Go get everything lined up. Go explain everything. So you're going to get a long-term severance anyway, if he happens to fire you. But I said, but if that's taken care of, that's defense. Go play offense. Go win with the guy. Do everything. So drive home at nighttime and be like, is that all you can give me? That's all the heat you can give me today? And eventually the guy will sit there and go, what he's doing is testing him. He wants him to fail, not because he wants him to fail, but he wants a really strong group around him because he's used to that in the military. The top guys around that general are going to be A players. So This actually happened to another CIO that just happened recently, where he and I were having lunch, and he said, my CEO is flipping out. And the reason he was flipping out is because the board, the leader of the board was the CIO of the FBI. And I would be flipping out too, because I was in that meeting with the CIO of the FBI, I was in the boardroom, and I watched the CIO, and he was really struggling with that. But I said, all the executives started leaving. And I said, well, what if you just didn't leave? He put his resume out as well. But what if you didn't leave? All the opportunities that would open up. So I think the CIOs are the CEOs of the future. But if you can't learn from a CEO that's really hard, you're going to learn so much from that because you may have a vision of being a CEO yourself. And how are you going to know what's too hard? How are you going to know where the edges and the lines are if you can't sit there with the intensity and be like, I get it. I get why the guy's intense. I can thrive under that. I'm not going to succumb. I can thrive there. But I'm going to dial it back to where I feel comfortable. But if you don't know where the edge is, you might just be a snowflake leader and not get anything done. But everybody loves you. Like, everybody loves you, but you never got anything done. So finding that balance, I think, sometimes is the learning from the extremes. The other thing is, I said, join the CIO, come to my lunch series, because you need to surround yourself with 5 people that are winning, that have been through this situation, not the people that are complaining about it. And you can't complain with your team because they need to see you as a sign of strength. They can't see you as a sign of weakness. So go outside of your group, learn from the 5 or 2 or 1 even, and learn from others, and then you take that back into your environment so you can be much, much, much stronger. So it really has nothing to do with really defense, offense, but it's really leadership. It's like how you can self-manage your own self as an IT leader, because IT leadership right now is, I would say, completely, we're at the edge of like what's possible for a CIO. And CIOs have always wondered, I have a seat at the table. How do I get respect? Well, part of it right now is that if we can win as a CIO, it can change the trajectory of our entire careers. So get around a group, come to the innovation group. If you're not in the Washington, D.C., Maryland, Virginia area, go find one near you. That's it.